All right, thank you all for joining us today. If you would keep yourself on mute during the presentation just to avoid background noise, that would be awesome. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and put them in the chat and I'll be keeping an eye on that. I'm very excited to have Allison Schaberg from Consolidated Planning Group joining us. She's going to be talking about ABLE accounts.
Thanks so much for having us here today. Again, Allison Schaberg, Consolidated Planning Group, and I have some members of my staff here as well. I have Michelle Morris and Andy Morris. They're part of our team. Consolidated Planning Group is a holistic special needs financial planning firm. When we say holistic, sometimes that's confusing to people, but we really custom design plans for people based off of their needs, wants, and goals for their future and their loved one. When it comes to special needs planning, there's really a lot of challenges that people face, and one is having the money in the right buckets to preserve eligibility for benefits. The other one is how do we plan for a 25 or a 35-year retirement and then have enough money for that, but also have enough money for a loved one that may have care needs for the rest of their life. So we really help answer some of these questions, and we can put dollars and cents in place to give real answers on what it's going to take and to have families have the money in the right buckets for these types of things as kids are transitioning into adulthood. So today, everybody is muted, and so if you have questions, you can put your questions in the chat box, and Angela's going to be watching out for those questions, and then we'll put those. She'll ask those questions as we move along. Okay. So today we're talking about ABLE accounts 529A under the tax code of 529. We've probably heard of 529C accounts before for college, and 529A is for ABLE. And it came in into the tax code in 2014 for the ABLE accounts. And basically an ABLE account, a reason a person with disabilities may want or need an ABLE account is because the money inside of the ABLE account will not be used against you for SSI asset purposes. So to qualify for SSI, you have to have a certain level of assets, under a certain level of assets in your name. And if you have over that amount, then you can disqualify for SSI. So this account, a 529 ABLE account, allows you to have more money than that amount, and it's not considered for that look under the hood that SSI does. Okay, contributions are not deductible. It does not jeopardize SSI, Medicaid, or other public benefits, but there are some special contribution limits that we have to pay attention to. Okay, so in order to have a 529 ABLE account, the individual's disability had to start prior to age 26. Okay, so that's one of the rules. Okay, contributions could be made by anyone. It could be the individual with disabilities. It could be a parent, a grandparent, basically anyone, but it would be subject to the $15,000 annual amount. So you can only put up to $15,000 a year into an ABLE account, and you can have up to a total of $100,000 in an ABLE account before the beneficiary would disqualify for SSI. So up to $100,000, if you have $101,000, that would put you over the edge for SSI purposes. So distributions for qualified disability expenses are not taxable, and earnings on distributions for non-qualified expenses are subject to ordinary income tax and a 10% penalty. Okay, so the cool thing about the ABLE account is you can spend a lot more. Basically, it's called achieving a better life for the individual with disability. So if the expense can be construed as achieving a better life for the individual with a disability, it's basically a qualified expense. So such things as tutoring, it could be equipment, it could be a vacation. There's so many things that you can pay for. You can also pay for a college out of a 529 ABLE account. So the cool thing is back in 2018, they enacted another law saying that if you have a 529C plan, so some parents had a 529C for their child for college, and then they determined, or for whatever reason, that the child wouldn't go to college, or maybe would go to college later, or would go into some different type of program, right? So people wanted to know what to do with the 529 plan. So as of 2018, the 529C can be converted to an ABLE account. Okay, so again, you go from a 529C that you can use the money for college or higher learning. Tutoring is not covered, but it is also, I mean, there's some private school and things like that that could be covered. You move it to an ABLE account, it can cover all of those things, plus tutoring, plus a myriad of other things. So a lot of people like to make that conversion. Now, one thing about an ABLE account is states may be able to claim reimbursement for expenses paid by Medicaid in the event of the death of the individual with disabilities. So what that means is if there's money left over in the account at the time of the death of the individual with disabilities, that the state could come in and take money back, like a reimbursement for Medicaid. So that's possible. Now, for some, they don't like that, and the idea behind it, it's okay because really there's not that much money in the account, right? So you can only have $15,000 a year and up to $100,000 in the account. And so what we do is we have a lot of families that put money into the ABLE account just for the expenses that they know that they're going to need. So they don't overfund it, I guess is my point. So you can still benefit from an ABLE account without overfunding it. Okay, so let's go over some of the qualified expenses for an ABLE account. We've got our basic daily living expenses, health and wellness, healthcare expenses not covered by insurance or Medicaid. Um, so housing or rent. So basically, housing and rent can be paid out of an ABLE account, and this is important to note because housing and rent cannot be paid out of a special needs trust. So we have some families that say, hey, we have a special needs trust. Why do we need an ABLE account? And it's because housing and rent cannot be paid out of a special needs trust, but it can be paid out of an ABLE account. Okay. So you see financial management, administrative services, legal expenses, personal support, assistive technology. The list goes on and on. This isn't an all, expansive list of everything that an ABLE account can pay for, but this is a good start, and it's pretty broad. So this is a long list of things that a special needs trust can pay for. So basically, a special needs trust is not supposed to pay for food and shelter, and an ABLE account can pay for food and shelter. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. Because SSI is designed to pay for food and shelter. That's the deal behind it. Now, what a special needs trust can pay for is they can buy a house outright. So that is an option that a special needs trust can pay outright. Okay, so again, here are some examples of special needs trust, and this is basically just the food and shelter that I was just mentioning a moment ago of what a special needs trust cannot pay for. And then, so what I want to move to is educational options post high school. So we talk about an ABLE account. An ABLE account can pay for education, it can pay for tutoring, it can pay for college, it can pay for a lot of other things. But when we're kind of in a transition phase or a transition program or whatever, we're looking at beyond high school. So whether that means you're staying in the public high school until age 18, or if you're staying in the public school till age 22, this is a time that we like to say to think about some of the other programs out there. This is just a short list of things that we are aware are available in the state of Texas for individuals with learning differences. Some of them are degree programs, some of them are certificate programs, some of them are transition programs. But what I want to say is that there is something out there for everyone. And just taking your time, we do actually have a Zoom meeting with some of these programs on there where it's kind of like a quick deep dive of 5 to 7 minutes of each of the programs and what they do and who they serve and how you get involved and kind of what's going on with them. But just take a moment to check out some of these because there could be a good fit for you or for your loved one out there. Okay. Another thing, this is not an all, expansive list here, but transition and day programs post high school. When it comes to transitioning, what we want to see is people moving from one program to the next program to better themselves, to find competitive employment, to go into a certificate program or what have you. But here are some transition and day programs that are out there that are worth checking into. And we do say to check into them ahead of time because sometimes the waiting list can be long. The waiting list have been an issue before COVID, but it became more of an issue post COVID because of the social distancing and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, don't wait. Start this. Start checking on these things. If your child is 15, 16, 17, get the ball rolling. It doesn't hurt to put them on the list of any of these places. You come up on the list, you still have the right to say no, but at least you have options. Whereas if you're not on the list, you simply don't have as many options as you should. Okay. Do we have any questions, Angela?
No, just David's been in the chat a little bit. He's real interested in college. David, Miss Allison is more talking about how you can save your money for things like that and not so much about specific college programs.
But we do. So David, that's good. I'm glad that you're interested in that. And like I said, we do have other programs, like we have other Zoom meetings that are recorded on YouTube. And Angela, if you email me, we'll send you a link to that and you can send that out. But it gives kind of an overview on some of those programs. And today's slides are going to be saved. So the slides that we had that were talking about these different programs, if you want to share that with him too, these are things that you guys can look up on the internet and kind of learn about. There will be a point of contact with each of these programs that would be happy to share with you these programs and how they work and find out if this would be a good fit for you. Okay. All right. So this is just another list. Again, we don't work for any of these organizations or anything like that. We don't endorse them or not endorse them. This is just a list of residential and partial residential options post high school. And we have families that don't do that at all and they're not interested in that. And we have other families that are. We have other families that are not interested in that right now, but then as they age, as the parents age, they move to 70 or 75, then they want to look at these options. And again, some of these options, what I would say is don't rain on it until you've checked it out. Like for instance, I recommend taking a tour of Brookwood. I also recommend taking a tour of Marbridge Foundation. You can take a tour of any of them, but those are ones that I've actually taken a tour of, and it was pretty fantastic. And the residents there were really happy, and they had work. They were working. It was meaningful. They had friends, and it was a cool place. Both places were very, very cool. And so again, some of these waiting lists are 5 years or longer. So once you take a tour, I think they're actually doing virtual tours right now. But once you take a tour, then you can have the ability to put your name on that list. And some of these on this list are private pay, which means you just pay out of pocket or your family pays out of pocket. And others of these would be, they take the Medicaid waivers and other things, like if you're getting class or HCS or some of these other programs that might be out there and you might be on a waiting list for. So it's just, again, worth checking out. We just share this information, but we're not affiliated with any of these organizations. Okay, so when it comes to special needs planning, there's some things that should be on your radar. I know that we've got some students that are participating today. This is more probably geared towards parents of loved ones here. But how do you develop a comprehensive special needs care plan? These things are important. So this is just a bullet point list. This is where I say, okay, this is where you take out your phone and you take a picture of this slide. This is a quick list and you can kind of make it your own. But when it comes to special needs planning, all of these things on this list should be on your radar, especially if we're in an age where we have kids that are transitioning. Okay, so Texas waiver and interest list, making sure that your loved one is on all of the interest list, and you can get yourself on or check your status of the interest list on the local, intellectual disability authority, basically LIDDA is what it's called. So like for instance, for Houston, that it would be the Harris Center. Okay, Harris Center, which was MHMRA. And I'm not sure for New Caney. I apologize, Angela, I don't know about New Caney. But you kind of call and you get yourself on these waivers. This is HCS. Okay, there's a different phone number to call to get yourself on the class waiver. And there's a long waiting list. So if you're just getting on there now, it could be 10 to 15 years. Okay. If you're not on these lists, you should be, even though it's going to be a long time. And it is important to check the status and kind of where you stand on the list. Okay. So we have topics on our YouTube channel. Basically on everything on this list, we have topics on our YouTube channel that we've talked about. Okay, so SSI, SSDI, knowing when to apply, knowing the differences between the two. We're talking about ABLE accounts today. Beneficiary designations is a big deal, making sure that we don't have our loved one with special needs listed specifically as a beneficiary on any of our life insurance or investment accounts. And the reason why is because it could disqualify them for SSI. So there's a proper way to do it, which is leaving it for the benefit of the named individual special needs trust, as opposed to leaving it directly to that named individual. Okay, so there's a right and a wrong way, and we can share with you how to do that. Special needs trust, how to fund them. So, how do we fund our retirement for 25 to 35 years and still fund a special needs trust for the future care of my loved one? Child support being directed to a first party special needs trust. What we see is a lot of families that have gone through divorce have child support that will be continuing post age 18, right? And they don't even think about it. They don't even know. But that child support comes in basically as income to the child. And so it will disqualify them for SSI. It's a relatively easy fix, is simply having child support directed to a first party special needs trust. And a first party special needs trust, again, is not a countable asset for SSI. So there's a way to fix it. We want you to start touring facilities, day hub transition programs, residential facilities, maybe at the age 15 or 16 of your loved one. And then the conversation, and we call this a buzzword all the time: guardianship, power of attorney, healthcare power of attorney, supported decision making. We hear this over and over and over and over and over again. You can start the guardianship process 6 months before the individual turns 18. There are a lot of other options other than guardianship. Guardianship is taking away rights of the individual, rights to drive a car, rights to get married, things like that. However, there are many situations in the special needs community where guardianship is not only warranted, but necessary, okay? But there's other things where we see high functioning autism or ADHD or other things where we see maybe a healthcare power of attorney and supported decision making may be more appropriate. So we can make referrals to qualified attorneys on this that can help discuss your unique situation and what might be a good fit. But you can start this process 6 months before the individual turns 18. So we've talked about the post-high school options, the waiting list for community-based care facilities, and we've talked about the YouTube channel. So I think those are the things that I have on my plate and my agenda. So I would love to just open it up for any questions or any questions that anybody has.
Allison, are your services free?
So we have an initial consultation. Our initial consultation is always free. And that's where we talk with the family and have a better understanding of the planning that they've done so far. And we do some listening on what's important to them. And then from there, once we receive their documents, then we come back and we provide a proposal to them for our services. So we don't start anything until that's agreed upon, and we provide a hard quote to them of what it would need. So when we say we're holistic, I just have to say every family that we work with situation is vastly different. And so there's not like this, well, this is our fee. because everybody's situation is different, and we actually tailor that to the individual family, so that way we can have affordable plans for people.
Okay. What is the name of your YouTube channel?
I do this every time. Is it on here? Let me see. No, you know what? I'm gonna send that to you. Because
Okay.
I think there's an invite, and the reason I think it's Consolidated Planning Group, but I think I need to send you a link for it, and basically you're like invited to it or something like that. So I'm gonna
Okay.
send you that, and then if you don't mind sharing that with the families that registered for today's event. So today's event has been recorded, and so the slides and the presentation, and so once that recording is finalized, then we're happy to, to send that out with links on how to contact us, how to schedule an appointment. This is up on the screen. You can email us or you can contact us directly. That way, if you have a unique situation and that you want to chat about, then we're certainly happy to schedule an appointment with you on those types of things. And so for sure, and we'll get that YouTube link out. And we also, the Consolidated Planning Group definitely has, and this is our logo at the top, definitely has a Facebook page that you can like and follow our Facebook page. We just really try to put out a lot of educational events on a regular basis. And so if you're liking and following our Facebook page, then you'll actually see those events and any other events of other organizations that we're aware of that are fantastic that you might be interested in. So
Okay.
that's a good place to see what's up and what's coming up. Now, one thing tomorrow, we'll get you this link as well. Maybe you already got this from Meredith, Angela, but we do have a meeting tomorrow with Bloom Consulting, and they work hand in hand with VR. And so as far as finding competitive employment, getting involved, private services for assessment for vocational readiness and that kind of thing, that might be a good, tomorrow's event might be a good event for some of your families.
Okay, I'll definitely share that. David, you said you have a question. Do you want to unmute and ask it?
No, you was talking about like college or attorney or something like that. What is like the like attorney or the age getting like like getting married? What is that age? About like an attorney?
Did he say attorney, and what is the age?
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, so most often, families, your parents and things like that, they start working with an attorney to work on some of the documents that are necessary. Maybe that, like we were talking about, guardianship or power of attorney or healthcare power of attorney, stuff like that. Typically, your parents will start working with attorneys 6 months prior to you turning 18. They also might work with an attorney to talk about special needs trust and other things that they might need to set up to make sure that you have the money in the right buckets. So that way, when you turn 18 and they help you apply for SSI, that you don't get disqualified for having money in the wrong buckets. So we're definitely happy to work with anybody's parents or guardians on this, and it's really good that you're so mindful of this, David. So do we have any other questions?
We had a couple parents join us after we were well into it. I don't know if any of them have any questions about ABLE accounts. If anyone wants to unmute and ask, you're welcome to.
I'm sorry, I'm not on video, but
That's
is
okay.
there a possibility to get the information that was talked about, the ABLE account? Is that on your YouTube channel? Because I did come in late, so that
Yes.
was my whole.
Yes. And we have recorded today's session, so you're gonna get a copy of today's session. And on our YouTube channel, we do have other ABLE presentations. We have special needs plan. Every topic basically that a parent might need to know about special needs planning and transitioning kids is on our YouTube channel, the SSI, SSDI, and then we have future events and things scheduled. So yes, you will definitely get that.
Okay, awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you. I tried to get here, but I had to teach a class, so. Not all
For
the time.
sure. We know how it goes, for sure. Any additional questions, Angela?
I think that was it. We
Okay,
really
well,
appreciate your time today.
absolutely. Well, we thank everybody for being here, and if we can be of additional assistance to you going forward, if you want to talk about your unique situation and kind of and figure out what you find out what you don't know. I have people say that every week somebody calls and says, I just don't even know what I don't know. We're happy to help you with all that. I'm happy to help you kind of get pointed in the right direction. This is a big deal in this transitioning time, and it can be a little stressful and a little overwhelming, especially when you start throwing SSI into the mix and Medicaid and all these other things that have a rule book that is as big as your whole life. So it's like, so we're definitely happy to help on all of that. Thanks for having us today, and we look forward to partnering with you again soon, Angela.
Awesome. Thank you. Y'all have a great day.
All right. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
You too.